Okay. All right. So let's take a look. And I'm going to hand it over to Mary Lynn, and she can run us through. Let me just switch over here. Okay. Should be coming your way, Mary Lynn.
Okay, I just accepted it, so I just need to share my screen here and we will get going. Okay, so what I'd like to walk through today, and it's kind of a scenario that I have gone through before, because what I've got is a portfolio of projects, and the information, as Nicole has discussed, has been captured in snapshots. Now, I've got a project that I know has been encountering some issues. And we've just taken another snapshot of the entire portfolio, and that project, I want to see how it's doing. And of course, there's a couple of others that I need to check on as well to check different elements. But there's one specific project that really has been. We've had some meetings, we've had some discussions, we've put some mitigation plans in place. So let's go have a look and see how, with the Power BI dashboards, we can have a look at how these particular projects are doing. So the first place I'm going to go is to the milestone trending. So in this particular one, what I'm interested in is where my milestones are sitting on this particular project. So the project that I am really curious about is Facility 2B. This one has been a bit of a challenge, and we've put some processes in place that should have started to show some improvement. So because we've just done our snapshot for our month end, I want to know, has it actually done anything? So the first thing I want to do at a high level is have a look at my milestones. So final tie-in complete. If I look at Facility 2B, my date is September the 12th, 2022. Well, that piece I'm fine with because that is the same as it was in the last snapshot. Now, I'm not going to go back and forth on every one of them, but just so you're aware, you've got that other information sitting in here. So if I need to go and check because I don't remember anything like that, here's the same milestone in the previous snapshot. So you can go backwards and compare if you need to. So I'm just going to go back to the current one, and we've got, excuse me, sorry about that. We've got a number of different milestones in this portfolio. The other one I want to have a look at here is ready for production. Couple of milestones I want to check on that particular project. Well, in this case, there's a few of them that I need to look through, so I need to scroll down, but there's my milestone. So in that case, I can tell at a glance, I never had to go into P6 to check, as you can see. But I can see right away, and if I did need to go back and compare what it was at the last month's snapshot to this one, it's right there. But those two milestones are fine. So I'm not too concerned about that. If there's some others I need to check, I can go in and do it. And you also have, of course, filters that you can go through and slice and dice in different ways if you want to show only certain projects on your screen. So, on that note, what I'd like to do is go and have a look at some more of the information that's available on my particular portfolio. So, I'm just going to go back and let's have a look at my project portfolio data. Now, I really like using this particular scenario because You can see from the numbers, I've got a roll up of the projects. Well, if I go into this and open it up a bit, you can see if I had to open all those projects, that would be a lot of work to figure out which ones are late, which ones are early, what's actually going on. Well, in this case, I know that all the information is up to date to that last snapshot, which is what I want to focus on. And in the meantime, people can be in P6 doing their rolling updates as required. I still have the information I need for meetings and things like that. So when I'm looking at my current snapshot here, I can see projects started, projects finished within a defined period, which you can adjust. Now, if I look at how my projects are doing, this portfolio has some issues, as I said. So I've got right now 17 projects early, I've got 13 projects late, and 29 on time. Well, if I look at some of the late projects, one of the ones I want to look at here is facility 2B. Well, it's still 30 days late. That is what it had reported for last month as well. So I know right off the hop, the end date has not improved at all. However, there is some other information I want to look at as well. So I've also got here at my fingertips projects starting this month, projects finishing this month. So you've got some very high level information, extremely handy to be able to just log in or have this displaying on a tablet or something, and you can get at it right away and you know exactly to what date it is. There's no question there. Has somebody put some updates in there past that you really don't want to be considering just yet? So if I look at my costs, how is my portfolio doing there? If I look at my project that I'm focusing on, this facility 2B, well, it did have some issues. It still shows up as project amount over budget, but it's very easy to see which ones are over budget. And if I select facility 2B, you can see there's another portlet here that is showing me projects percentage over budget. So it is over budget. There is a dollar value in there. But as a percentage, how much is that? So it gives you that information as well. So if I want to just take off the highlights, all you do is just click in one of the portlets and it'll remove it for you. Now I've also got projects amount under budget, so it's listing both sides of it, which is fine because we focus, of course, first usually on the projects over budget, but if you have something that is progressing and looks like it's extremely under budget, that's usually something you want to go have a look at as well. So you've got all that information at your fingertips. Now, there's another piece we want to look at. We've had to look at dates, we've had to look at costs. Now, I'd like to have a look at what do the hours look like. Again, I'm still looking at the last snapshot. If I need to compare in any one of these dashboards, I can change it myself. It's a self-serve dashboard, so you've got all the information. You can do whatever comparisons you need. Now, what I'm looking for before I go to the next meeting on this facility 2B project, what I want to know is it's over budget. But what else is going on here? So it is over budget. I can hover over the end and I can see as of this most current snapshot, I'm 120 hours over budget. Now, if I click on that project to select it, you'll see something else happen, which I find really handy because we've got another portlet here that says forecast percent of budgeted hours used. So it shows me this one is in the central team because we've got team tags on these particular projects. Now, I can also see that this is the central team and it's over budget in this bottom portlet as well. So again, it's giving you quite a bit of really good information available really, really quickly. So if I wanted to look at another project, I can do the same thing. I've got another project here that is over budget. Now, if I click on that one, you'll see it's the North team, still an over budget project. So very, very easy to digest information available right at your fingertips. Now, once I've had a look at that, I know that my facility to be project still has some problems. So what I want to do is dig a little bit deeper on that one. So if I go in and I have a look at the project level. So inside the portfolio, this set of dashboards will give us very easy information as to what's early, what's late, what is showing signs that I need to go in and have a look at it. And as you've seen, we got all that information in less than 10 minutes. It If you had to open all these projects in P6, probably would take almost that just to get to where you had them all open in some cases. But let's have a look a little bit deeper here. So we've looked at our portfolio. Now, what if we have some project level information we want to have a look at? I can dig deeper. So in my project detail here, I'll just go to overview first, just start at the top. So if I'm looking at facility 2B, I've got the overview, which is telling me right away that negative 30 days, we knew last month it still is. Now, this project is not complete. My total cost is past 100%. My duration is past 100%, and my labor hours are just past 100%. But if I want to dig a little deeper on that, I can go into my labor hours. Now, this is negative 120, so it's over by 120 hours. It gives me the activities over labor budget, but I'm thinking to myself, okay, I think they have probably made a little bit of headway, but I've been looking at a lot of different reports over the day, so I'm thinking, okay, am I mistaken? What was that showing last month? Well, I can go in and I can have a look at last month just to refresh my memory. 395. So they have made some headway, and that's exactly what I was hoping to see on this particular one. Now, at the portfolio level, of course, we could see they improved a little bit if we went back to the November one versus December. But when you drill down into the project, you can see it there too. So you can do the comparisons at whichever level that you need very easily, very easy to digest the information. So if I go back to my current snapshot, so they made a little bit of improvement. The labor hours are not quite as far over as they were. So if I look at the costs for this particular project, now I can see I do have a cost issue. We knew that. It is over budget, but this also gives you activities over budget. So if there's a specific activity that you need to have a look at, it's very easy to see it in the list here. You've got activities under budget as well. But one of the ones I find extremely handy here is costs by category. So, of course, expense cost, we're not over budget. The labor cost on this one is over budget. So you can also go in and have a look at this slightly differently to if you're looking at it with a group, focus everybody's attention on exactly what you want to look at. I find that pretty handy for meetings and things like that. Now, we see that this particular one is over budget, and we can see that it's labor cost. Well, of course, not every project is going to be over budget on labor costs, so we will look at one other project just briefly, just to show you that you can track all of this different information. But my main focus, as I said, is facility 2B. So what about the activities on facility 2B? I click on activities. I've got all activities. So I've got 9 activities on time and I've got 19 late. Well, 19 activities late is not terrific. We know that. But we need to, of course, be able to monitor when we put some mitigation actions into play. Is it actually making a difference? So again, you can go back to the other report date, the other snapshot, if that is helpful when you're looking at this information. But all activities you've got on time or late. I've also got activities starting this month. This one I find really helpful because sometimes these activities that you maybe need to do a little extra coordination on or something, you've got this right at your fingertips. Now, activities finishing this month, you've got that as well. You'll notice we've got 2 tabs here. So I can easily go in and check which one of these are critical activities. So here is my 6 late critical activities. Very easy. I can see, okay, these are the ones I really need to go in and have a look. Is there anything we can do about it? So all of that good information is right there for me. So before we leave this particular dashboard, as I said, there is another element I just want to look at just quickly. Now, we saw a number of projects in the portfolio. This is the one I wanted to check first of all, but you can, of course, go and check the same information for all of them. But there's another one I want to have a quick look at. So I'm just going to change this quickly. And I need to go down to wells. It's a well file. And it's this one right here. So if I go and look at that one, this one I can see, and we can go through all the information for this particular one. But one of the things I wanted to point out here as well is you can have many, many, many different scenarios. So I've got a cost variance on this particular project. It is over budget. Now, initially, I would be looking for what's over budget. Well, it's not actually the labor, it's material. So you may go into the labor hours and it's not over the budgeted hours, but still over budget. Keep in mind, it's tracking everything. So you'll get the whole story from the dashboards. Just keep going. It gives you all the information. It's all there. Okay, on that note, what I would like to do now is there is another dashboard that I would like to have a look at with you, and that is resource allocation. Now, Nicole did mention about information that is storing things like spreads. It's resource information over time, or it's cost information over time. That type of a scenario. Well, this particular dashboard and this particular one right now is showing the old snapshot. So I'm just going to change it to the most current one. Now, this has a lot of resource information. So I can see at a glance over allocated hours. I can see a resource profile for my contractor resource. And along with that, it's giving me all the projects that this particular contractor is assigned to, along with the Gantt chart type display for the activities in those projects that have that resource assigned to them. Now, if I want to see any information here, it's very interesting, I find, and very handy the way these portlets are connected together, because we referred to self-serve dashboards. This is so easy to get a lot of information out of, because if I'm looking at this project that I did say was my focal point because I have a meeting very shortly. I want to know what this latest update in that project looks like before I have to attend the meeting. But if I look at facility 2B and contractor is a resource that's assigned to that project, there's a few ways I can do this. So I can click on facility 2B and you'll see that the other portlets are changing in accordance with what I clicked on. Makes it very handy to really quickly drill down to what you're looking for. So in this case, I'm looking for the contractor on facility 2B. Well, I've got all the activities that have that particular resource assigned, but not only that, I can see in this portfolio, this is the resource profile, and I realize there's no overloads, but it's still handy to know in the grand scheme of when that resource is required, where does your project sit? What happens, in other words, if I was in a scenario where something's getting delayed and it's going to drag out this resource, it can give you a high level view of, is there any wiggle room in there, or what exactly is happening? So if I'm looking at this particular one, facility 2B shows up in the profile here. Well, maybe I'm looking for and I want to know, okay, I've got another project here. How do these two sit? Where does that come into the picture? Well, you can see what happened to the profile. It adds it in, and now I can see the bars for both of them. So depending on what you're looking for, this is, as I mentioned, totally interactive and can give you some really, really good information. Now, in regards to our facility 2B project, there is a resource, another resource I want to check here because I know it's got a problem. I know there is something in here we are going to have to deal with, and I want to see, number one, is it as bad as what was reported last month? And exactly where are we sitting? Because it's getting to the point where I am going to have to take some action on it and we're going to have to address it. So what I want to do first is in the resources, it is a different resource I need to have a look at. So I'm just going down and what I'm looking for is pipeline crew. Just bear with me a second. Yeah. So if I'm looking at pipeline crew, I do have an overload here. And you can show the resources for any of the resources that you've got listed just by clicking to see exactly what you're showing, that kind of thing. So if I click on pipeline crew and I'm looking at current year, or I can change the time scale, but I do have an overload sitting in here. I actually have a couple of them, but let's have a look at what this particular profile does if I click on one of these profile bars. You can see exactly what pro projects and what activities are generating that particular profile. So you can do that for any of your resources. So you might want to look at pipeline crews, drilling crews, whatever the case is there. Pipeline crew is one of the ones I was concerned about. Now, if I deselect this, you can see my facility 2B is sitting here. So what I want to know here is if I click on facility 2B, this is where it shows up in that particular profile. So we do have a slight overallocation. It does look better now than it did last month. So it is something that is not as huge a headache as it could have been. But if I'm looking to see exactly what I have available, one of the things that you can do, and I've done a few times, I find it handy, is if I click so that I'm displaying everything for a resource. If I want to go in and find out where this falls in the profile, I can click on that. Now, maybe I've got priorities for these particular projects. Maybe this is a resource that is a little hard to onboard. There's not a lot of pipeline crews available, that kind of scenario. I can select and by priorities and see where it falls. So you may end up with the project that is the lowest priority, maybe one that perhaps you can't quite accommodate in the time frame that it is in right now. Of course, gives you very good information at your fingertips. Again, I actually did not have to, as you've seen, sign into P6 to get this information. It's all running from the snapshot, and I don't have to worry. One of the things that a lot of people tell me that they're concerned about when they're running reports from P6, if they're not taking some action so that type of thing doesn't happen. If you're working on a project where they're doing rolling updates, it can be an issue if you don't get the report right at the right time. Somebody's gone in and put another update in there. You may be kind of ending up on a little bit of a rocky kind of scenario there. Now, that's just a quick look at the interactive self-serve dashboards. Now, we also have some standard, more static dashboards that you can display and create, that kind of thing. So what I'd like to do is have a quick look at some of that, because this is food for thought, but you may find that it's very helpful to have, for example, a management dashboard displayed on a big screen TV in a boardroom or something like that. So you can create this type of scenario where you're pulling your snapshot in and you're displaying whatever portlets that you pick. So in this case, I've got project days early, I've got late projects, total budget variance, projects amount over budget, over allocated hours, and then I've got milestone tracking across the bottom. So you've got a lot of different information, but just at a glance, it's going to give you a lot of very good, very useful information about inside your portfolio, exactly how are these different projects doing. So you'll be able to tell if milestones are off track, if you've got um, project amounts for the costing kind of sideways, that type of scenario. And we already know we do have a number of late projects in this particular portfolio. So there is another one here that I would like to show you as well. Another couple, actually. Now, these are drilling projects. So just some food for thought again, drilling projects. I've got a dashboard here that is giving me pipeline crew information, pipeline crew activities, and the different milestones that you would be tracking for the specific pipeline piece. So I've got ready to permit, I've got surface land start, and I've got final tie-in complete. So you've got a lot of very good information available right there as well. So these particular um, dashboards are some more food for thought, because as I said, you can have the self-serve dashboards where whoever needs access can go in and, as you've seen, change the snapshot, change the filters to very quickly get the information for where the projects are at, what has to come next, what's already behind. So, hey, maybe I need to do something about it, that type of scenario right off their desktop. But you also have this type of dashboard available where you can display the information once the next snapshot comes in. This information gets automatically updated. So it's not a case of having to go and dig into P6 and run a bunch of reports and that kind of scenario. So if I have a look at roads and we won't dwell a lot on these, but I do want to give you some food for thought. You can see here over allocated hours, project days early and late. There is one sitting in there late. And you've got the Gantt chart type of display. And again, the milestones. So I find any project I've worked with a number of different types of projects over the years, but one constant to all of it is you're normally tracking your major milestones. So even if your projects are not drilling projects, you're still going to want to track your milestones. So if you want to put them in a dashboard to display them, definitely you can see it's very easy to do. And you have the self-serve dashboard where you can go in and you can pick the milestones that you want to look at to see, is what I'm working on time? Is there a milestone that's not being looked after that I need to know about? All those pieces of information you want to be very aware of. So here is, last but not least, here is a drilling dashboard. So you've got a lot of different potential here, all wonderful information at your fingertips. So it makes it extremely easy. And as we said before, if you are looking at comparing, these are the more static dashboards. But again, if you're looking at making some comparisons, I can go into my project portfolio like we did before. And don't forget, I can pick the report date. I can filter whatever I need. And this is all interactive. It's going to give me exactly the information that I asked it for. So I hope that gives you some food for thought as to what type of reports have been created for P6-Reporter by Emerald, what's available. Now, these are reports you could have set up for your projects, and away you go. It's all there, all easy to digest, all easy to access. And as I mentioned before, you don't have to worry about if somebody is doing rolling updates in the background. It's not going to affect what you're looking at because these snapshots are stored in data warehouse. So on that note, I will stop my screen share and turn it back over. Oh, I guess, Nicole, you can just take it, I think.
Yep, I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so there was just one question. I'm not sure if I answered it properly. Can these reports project assigned resources or codes? So Mary Lynn was showing you activities that have certain kinds of resources, but we are also using activity codes for the filtering. So I'm not sure if I answered that question properly. So if I didn't, please feel free to reword it and we can try again. And in terms of the recording, yes, we will send this forward. I did start it late. I started it when Mary Lynn did her part. So you'll get the demonstration piece. And I see one more question, so let's try and tackle this. Okay, this P6-Reporter, it can reduce, improve labor, working hours, cost, work dependency, hospitality management rules. Well, the idea of what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get the data that's in P6 out to different people who can help you look at the information and try and get it so that you can improve the project. So it can't improve it by itself. But it's hopefully getting the right people to be able to action the data before things get too late or you have trouble with the project. So hopefully that's the intent here, because the struggle we always have is you don't want to print a 50-page Gantt chart out and people won't look at it. They won't know what they're supposed to be doing. So we're trying to get all that scheduled data into their hands in an easier to consume manner. So that's really what we're trying to do there. So hopefully I've answered that question. Again, if not, feel free to throw it back our way and we can try and answer it better. Okay, now Marilyn was showing you the example that we've put together with one business example, so drilling. Okay, so we use that one because it's got interesting resources. It's got interesting costs, and it's got a Gantt, and it's a portfolio. Now, we've done others with our rail clients. We've done others with our turnaround clients. So this is just one example. And the technology in this example is Power BI. Now, we've used other reporting engines as well. So just keep that in mind. These are really, it's hard to show you the framework of the data warehouse because it's all back-end tables. It's hard to show you the framework of the reporting that we've got there. But in terms of building some of these, it's only a handful of hours to a day to 2 days to build some of these to get your specifics in. So it's really the framework that we're trying to highlight to you, that we've got that framework across not only the dates, but the resources and the costs as well. Okay, typically not all costs are entered in P6 activities. I believe this dashboard will require all costs to be entered in P6. Well, you're right. That, I mean, it depends on how you want to do it. Okay, so some of our clients, for some of the non-heavily tracked P6 activities with costs, they might just do some level of effort information and throw in some of those costs in a high level. For our integrated clients, we'll try and integrate all the pieces that we can get from the cost system. Again, we may not go to such a detailed level on some of the different types of costs. And then if you don't have all the costs in there, you know, you could certainly extend the data warehouse with other tables. So that's another thing some of our clients do. So they use the P6 data warehouse pieces, and then they hook on other data sources as well. So those are different options to consider. But this gets you the P6 framework available to start to produce different charts from. Okay, so hopefully I answered that one. Okay, so let's just touch on a few of the feedbacks that we've had from different clients. So really the point here is to try and get that data out so that it's streamlined, it's easier to access, easier to put together and produce charts. So the visibility to a turnaround team, it's so much simpler to see where the progress is and where they've got to get to. And if you've ever worked on a turnaround project, you know you don't have a lot of wiggle room. You're trying to coordinate thousands of workers in a small space often for that many folks, and you need to get them where they need to be on time. And an hour can be thousands and thousands of dollars of lost productivity. So it's important to hit those timelines very well. Just making it more intuitive so that a user doesn't have to be a P6 expert. They don't have to necessarily understand how to read a Gantt chart. You can give them their list of information much more readily. Okay, so that's really what we're achieving with this. And they don't need to be Primavera experts to understand where they've got to get to. That's the whole point of what we're trying to do with P6, is get people to the right place at the right time. In terms of some of the feedback from management that we've received, again, in terms of not having to do this in Excel, save time, make sure the reports are accurate. I've seen people pull out data into Excel and they had a filter on, so they didn't have all their data. Okay, so that can happen. And this takes that potential for error really out of the mix. And then the ability to do earned value curves, different trends on CPI, SPI, that sort of thing. It's very achievable because we do snapshots. We're not just looking at the current schedule only. We've got all the snapshots in the system. So you can compare back month over month, year over year, 2 different resources against each other if you're trying to see why one crew is doing better than the other. So it just brings a lot more capability to drill down. And that's what you're trying to really do, is get that data to be more usable, more functional. Okay, good. So I think we've probably run through quite a few good examples. Hopefully you've had some food for thought. We can have stay on for another few minutes to see if there's any additional questions, things that you want to explore. As I said, this was our Power BI example, but we've got Tableau examples, we've got Oracle data visualization, we've worked with business objects with some additional clients, and there's probably some others, but those are the ones that are coming to mind right now. Okay, so I'll start wrapping up, but certainly if there are questions, go ahead, throw them at us. So this is just one of our many tools that we've built for P6. And as I mentioned, it's kind of a two-pronged piece. It's called P6-Reporter, and it includes our data warehouse, as well as our pre-built, easy to configure queries that go on top that feed the data to your different reporting engine. We've got other tools that help with P6. This is just one, and really from the very beginning of Emerald's creation 27 years ago, we had programmers on the team. So we've got a very strong toolkit to help make P6 better for you. Okay, so definitely explore some of our other webinars. We've got a P6 scrubber, which helps you take care of importing and make sure imports come in well and clean. We've got P6 Loader, which lets you load in and out data from Excel. We've got caps and taps, which are 2 different flavors for updating. We've got QA, which helps you critique the schedules and flag for the users where they've got gaps in business processes as well as quality metrics. And we've got P6 Calculator, which lets you automate all sorts of different functions in P6. Okay, so we've got a very big, strong toolkit, not only around P6, but around Unifier as well. And of course, our Safran and our risk, and we work with a variety of other tools as well. Okay, so definitely reach out if there's something that you've seen that looks interesting. We've got Donna here in the Philippines, maybe closer to your time zone. And of course, I've got Mary Lynn's info as well on screen. And don't hesitate to reach out if there's something that you want to explore a bit more, understand a bit better, see whether there's something that we can give you a hand to make your team more successful. Okay, we'll stay on for another minute or so if there's any questions. If not, we'll close out in just another minute. So thanks for spending the time with us and have a great day.